Hello, mate. Welcome back. Now listen, this is what grinds me gears. And yes, I am finally doing the sequel to Grinds My Gears. Even though I don't think people were wondering, since I have 14 subscribers. Before the 14 subscribers, I would like to take this time to tell you about the fuckery that is Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, people are gonna be like, it's terrible. Other people are going to be like, it's great. It's neither. It is neither, okay? And listen, people are going to crucify me for, agreeing with Asmongold because for some reason, he's very controversial, he's hurting people's feelings, and I feel like he can have his own opinions. I have my own opinions, and no one complains to you about yours. But anyways, I would give it a 7. He gives it a 6. I would give it a 7. Now, maybe that's me being too generous, because for the most part, how is it that it took Ubisoft years to figure out that their games are effortless, or at least mostly effortless, because now they're actually doing something decent. Like, they're actually giving a little bit of a shit. It's funny how when a game developer does so bad and they're losing so much that they have to sell the company, that they perform better. We gotta do more of this, guys. Like, I'm not sure of all of you gamers out there, but we gotta do more of this. We gotta threaten them that we're not gonna pay them anymore, okay? And I know I've been doing this for years. If I don't like something, I'm not gonna buy it, okay? But, like, this is actually giving them motivation, okay? And so, I'm going to tell you what I did like about the game, but most of the time in this Grinds My Gears series, I'm going to tell you what I didn't like. And what I don't like is that it's still buggy. Now, I wouldn't mind that because it's Ubisoft. Usually Ubisoft and Bethesda are usually known for their jank. But it's funny how they said they were fixing the jank, okay? They said they were fixing it. Now, I'm not mad at them for saying that because, of course, we've known for years that when they say something, that's not always true. Because they said that Mirage was going to be back to the roots. Yeah, teleporting as the trickster Loki isn't really back to Altair's time, even though he dresses like it and it's stealthy like it. But it's just I don't know. Knowing that Bassam is Loki and he becomes him at certain point, like, Altair wasn't a god hibernating in his own mind. So it's like, so that's weird, okay? And this is gonna be about, like, the whole Assassin's Creed series and the people that either criticize it or like it, because I'm talking about both sides, people. No one's safe. The people that are praising it for stupid reasons are gonna get shit on, like the people that is annoyed at it for stupid reasons, okay? Like, I have a brother-in-law that has very good reasons of why he doesn't like it anymore. I'm not gonna say his name. Good luck knowing who he is, because I have like I have 3 brothers-in-laws, okay? You're not going to figure it out who it is, and if you keep going around, you're not going to find out, okay? You're just going to take the whole time. But get this, right? He has a good reason. There's a lot of people that don't have good reasons of why it's bad. There's some people that say, well, Yasuke was a slave. Other people are saying he's not a real samurai. Okay, who do you think I'm going to like the criticism of more? Obviously the people that say he wasn't a samurai, because I do have to agree that since a whole bunch of Japanese people that are actually from Japan and actually probably know what they're talking about because it's their own country, and you're actually getting knowledge from a white guy that made a book, okay? Why are you guys believing the guy that made a book that's not from Japan? Wouldn't you take the criticism from Japanese people? Like, I know on Twitter, people complain, right? So when you find Japanese people on Twitter, they're usually complaining because everybody complains on Twitter, all right? Everybody does. So, but like, even though they're criticizing the game, and it's Twitter, so it's very mind-numbing. I'm not a big Twitter guy, okay? I'm not gonna go on Blue Sky because that's where the mentally disordered people are that don't like Twitter. See, I don't mind Twitter because it gives you free speech. But the people that left Twitter and went to Blue Sky, those are the mentally unstable people. And I don't ever want to go on Blue Sky. I'll rather stay on Twitter where at least there's some knowledgeable people on there. Not a lot, but there's a few. But anyways, so off topic. So one thing that I didn't like about Assassin's Creed Shadows is certain things from Naoe, okay? I actually thought Yasuke was fun. He was a tank. But that's not Assassin's Creed. Anyways, back to Naoe. So, how is it? And this one little mission, plus there's spoilers ahead, but this is a grinds my gears, not a review. So, if you don't want to get spoiled, get off now. So one thing that I did not understand is when you're trying to defend your little settlement against two thugs. Now, I wouldn't mind it because I know certain women can be tough. Okay, I'm not being bad to women. I just think if you're using a wooden katana, not even with a blade. So, how is it that when you're done kicking one of their ass, it's like, oh, dude, we gotta get out of here. She's too dangerous. She's not worth it. She has a wooden katana. And she says so gently, stay out of Iga. Like she doesn't say it with power, bro. She doesn't say it with power. More women in Japan say that shit with power. Okay, now he doesn't. She says it like a pussy. Okay, she's like, stay out of Iga. She whines. Now, I do have to say that her acting is a little, believe it or not, it's a little better here than most of her other projects. She actually got better at acting for this game. Believe it or not, because I've only seen one thing from her. One thing! And it was Princess Yakuza. Okay? The only thing that I've seen from her, and the only thing that actually gives her credit, and she sucks in that movie. She sucks. So you gotta give her credit that she's acting a little better in this game. It's not saying much though, because it's a Ubisoft game. And it's like, she's an ugly crier. Okay? I think sometimes it's adorable when Japanese women cry. I don't like, torment them just to make them cry, by the way. I know what you're thinking. Shut up, okay? You listen to me. But anyways, yeah, she's an ugly crier. Very ugly crier. Like, and I know people make jokes about it, but she... Nope. It's hard to look at. Not only that, Naoe is definitely, she's very naive. Now, I know Connor Kenway was naive, right? But, I mean, the goods outweigh the bad. He was naive. He also took everything seriously. So, like, when someone was trying to fool him, or even when someone wasn't trying to fool him, he would still, like, keep his guard up and be like, I'm warning you, bitch. Don't cross me. And not only that, he was a tank. Okay? Mind you, he was Native American. Okay? So it's none of this DEI bullshit. I actually like Connor Kenway. Okay? He was great. Tomahawk, bro. That one Smosh video or whatever. It was fucking awesome. I liked it. But it's like Naoe is just... It's bad that she's naive. It's very bad that she's naive. Because it's like... How do I say this? When she's the smallest assassin, Ubisoft words, not mine. Um, how is it that she's the smallest? She's not built at all. Like she's got a little bit of an hourglass body, but like that's not muscular. That's not like trained to be like a beast, right? Like Connor Kenway. So it's like she can't be that naive, and it kind of ruins the story that she's that naive. Okay, and it's like I don't know, man. It's just weird with her. With Yasuke, I think he's the best thing of it, and it's sad because he's not supposed to be the main character. It's supposed to be the Japanese chick. They even said that, oh, don't worry, Yasuke's not going to be the main character. It's going to be the Japanese chick. But then they make her kind of annoying and just very naive. And they make Yasuke like a big tank that nobody wants to mess with. And I actually liked enjoying playing as Yasuke. Oh, I'd go around, destroying people. And I know what people are gonna think about this. They're like, why are you, an African guy, killing a bunch of Japanese people? Listen, in a dominant majority of Japan is Japanese people, especially in feudal Japan. If they are enemies and if they're trying to kill me first, who do you think I'm going to kill? Obviously, I'm not going to kill the innocent people, but if they're trying to kill me, all right? Like, be for real here. It's not because they're Japanese. It's because they're like literally the only people in the game other than Yasuke. Don't get me wrong. There are the Portuguese. But for some reason, they only made them merchants or Templars for the last part of the game. So it's like you can't kill them for some reason. I'd rather kill the Portuguese guys. They were the Templars. They were the bad guys, but like all you see is like Asian samurais, okay? So that's kind of all I have to work with, okay? And that's all anybody has to work with. Even the people that agree with you probably understand that it's bad to kill just one race of people. We get that. But when you're in a timeline like feudal Japan, and the predominantly of the people are Japanese, like, come on! And plus, you're playing as a Japanese woman. If you don't want people to kill Japanese people as a black guy, then be the shinobi. It'll be a little bit better, okay? It'll be a little bit better. It's I don't know, man. Like, people complain too much, but then there's other people that praise it for stupid things. Like literally, like IGN and like certain people are like, oh my god, the romances are great. I'm like, listen, other than the Ezio games, when does Assassin's Creed fans care about the romances? Now, I think it's funny personally because I'll piss off two types of people. I'm going to tell people that love the game that it's a 7. And they're like, why isn't it an 8? Why isn't it a 9? Why isn't it the best? Because it's mostly average, Holmes. It's mostly average. It is. It is. And it's like, so, and not only that, I can mess with like people like Synthetic Man. I'm like, yeah, Synthetic Man. I'm calling you out. There are some anti-woke people that are fine, right? They have their own opinions. They're fine. But Synthetic Man looks at every single game that he looks at and calls you a normie for liking it just because there's like maybe one gay scene in it, one person of color sometimes, and he's saying like, oh, this is woke. Like at least other people, or most other people, there's other outliers that are annoying, but I don't know their name right now, so I can't really talk about them. But yes, people like Synthetic Man are really annoying. Because he doesn't give it a chance just because there's one thing, maybe a little bit liberal about it. Do you know what was very liberal and very anti-capitalist? Grand Theft Auto. And people like him love those games. Okay, so don't talk to me about woke, okay? But like, there are goods and bads, but I still think the game is a bit mediocre. I think it's fun when you're assassinating. I think it's fun to explore. It's a very beautiful world. But it's like, that's with every Assassin's Creed game that they do good. Why can't they do other things good that we haven't seen before? Like, innovate, do something new. I'm kind of getting tired of just having the same opinion for every game. It's like, yeah, it's okay. Next game, yeah, it's okay. Next game, I like the killing. I like the open world. Next game, same thing. Nothing changes. But like, it gets to a certain point where when they don't innovate, when they don't do anything new, I mean, they do some things new, but they're recycled from other games that we always needed to keep in them. Like, oh, guys, we got double assassinations. Literally, Assassin's Creed 2 to Black Flag. We had that all the time. Okay? So how is it like, oh, we got him back? You shouldn't have left it in the first place. Okay? Yeah, no, like, keep it in. That is something you should have left in. It's not something that you tell your fans that you put back in when it should have already stayed in. Okay? You know, it really confuses me, Ubisoft. And that's the same thing. Now one more thing before I get off. Now, I've been talking a lot about Assassin's Creed Shadows, but there might be something that people don't understand when they play these games. And I think certain people are going to understand if they look at the lore of the game. I know most people don't like looking at the lore. They think it's too complicated because there's so many, and it's like, they're done with that now. It's too out of hand. But what people need to understand is that, like, well, why can you make all these decisions? Why can you do all these things that you couldn't before? Why are they making it into an RPG? Now, I do have to agree with you that that does kind of suck. I like the linear story, right? Like, my favorite games were 1 through Black Flag. Maybe Rogue, but the story was kind of lackluster in that too. It definitely went downhill after that. I don't know. I'm just that type of guy. But it's like people don't understand is that they're kind of letting you, like, people are like, well, letting you choose isn't really historically accurate. I hate to break it to people, but it was never historically accurate. And I think that was the stupidest thing that Ubisoft ever said about Shadows. We're going to make it historically accurate. Listen, Ubisoft, you were never historically accurate. Yes, there were historical accuracies in your game, but you were historically inspired. So, yeah, people are going to be upset when you say it's going to be historically accurate when you have a trans person in feudal Japan. No disrespect on trans people, by the way. Don't make this an issue. I actually think some of them are very attractive if they try hard enough. Anyways, but then after that, you make Yasuke have gay relations when it's documented that he actually had a wife. Maybe she was enslaved with him, but why wouldn't he be faithful to her? Because you don't know anything about his life. And so I didn't care about the Naue lesbian thing, because Naue isn't a real person. But what I don't understand is that when people say that stuff is historically inaccurate, and even though I don't like the choices, because I think it should be a linear path, they do give you a canon mode, and people say in the canon mode, you still have relationships. I have played the canon mode myself, and you don't have relationships with anybody. Neither of them do. You were being lied to by certain people. They don't have relationships in canon mode. So that's number one. And number two is that, like, So the historical inaccurate part, that depends on the animus. Because, alright, so for people that understand where I'm coming from, if you ever know about this, leave it in the comments. Because when you are in the Assassin's animus, you know, when you're Desmond and when you're with the assassin friends, it base history off of their point of view. But when you're playing in like the Abstergo animus, you're seeing it in the Templars' point of view. So like in the new games, they're kind of trying to like let you choose what your point of view of it was, right? Because when you're playing as Altair in the first game, you are playing in an Abstergo animus. And the guy that talks to you, like the scientist, explains to you that not everything is what it seems. And then in Assassin's Creed 2, Lucy tells you that it's been tampered with by the Templars. Which means, why do you think Altair, his voice and his actions are a little different in both 1 and Revelations? Is because in 1, the machine was invented by the Templars, which means he's gonna be a little more narcissistic. He's gonna be more of an asshole. He's gonna be more like, I'm better than everybody else. Because that's how the Templars wanted you to remember him. Because they are not assassins. They want you to think the enemy was terrible, right? That's their point of view. So they made their animus like that. Now, on the assassin's side, like, they make the assassins good people, right? Like Ezio, they made him charming. They made him a stud. They made him romantic, right? And then even in Revelations, they actually made Altair more likable. From the beginning. Like, not even at the ending where he's learned stuff. Like, even in the beginning. When you're playing his story in Revelations, he's more humble. Right? He's learned from certain lessons way earlier than in the first game. So and not only that, when you're playing in Abstergo, like on Black Flag, right? You are in an Abstergo animus, and they're not trying to make Edward Kenway likable, even though we like him because he's a pirate and he doesn't give a shit. Like, he doesn't have any morals, but he still doesn't kill innocents because he's working with the assassins. I think that's very clever. But even before he becomes an assassin, he's very unlikable. But that was probably intended for the Abstergo people. So when Abstergo puts stuff in their animus, they do stuff that fits their own agenda. But when the assassins put stuff in their animus, they do stuff that fits their agenda. So you kind of have to read the lore of the games before to realize what the animus does. It doesn't do stuff exactly accurate to history. They kind of tamper with it depending on whose side you're on. If you're working with Sean and Rebecca, they kind of tamper it to make the assassins look like the good guys, right? That's with Ezio. That's with Connor Kenway, right? Try to make them, more nicer people. Or more, not as murderous. So I feel like people have to know that about the history of Assassin's Creed, is that the animus works how either if you're in the Abstergo side of things or if you're on the assassin side of things. Why do you think, like, in Syndicate, they're not really likable, but, like, they're more like, what's up, bro? Hey, what's up, sister? Like it's banter, right? They don't look like the villains. It's because you're working with the assassins. Same thing with Arno. He might be an Ezio ripoff, but he didn't seem like an asshole. Yes, he was a simp over Elise. And it's like, dude, just get a different woman. But, like, he wasn't an asshole. He only started becoming an asshole in the Dead Kings DLC. But that's just because he gave up on life, bro. But I'm just trying to say that there's, like, different agendas, right? Like, depending on which Animus you're in. So now in the new games, they're kind of being lazy with it and just giving you the option. They're just giving you the option now. So yeah, I see it's lazy, but like I said, so that's the lore that people have to understand. It's historical. It's historically, how do I say it? Inspired, not historically accurate. But I do have to give it to you guys, the fans. And I'm not going to be too hard on you because Ubisoft was the idiots that said it was real. It was real history. That's why it bit them in the ass. That's why people disagree with them. That's why people are angry. And most importantly, that's why Japan is angry. Don't say something that's not true. Your fans are going to bite you in the ass. They're the ones paying for it. They're not going to pay for it if you talk shit about it. So yeah, that's all I have for today. That's my Grind My Gears video. It's mostly the same length as the last one. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you got a little bit of my perspective on things. There's things that I didn't like about certain people criticizing it. There was things that I didn't like about the people meat riding it. And there was things that I didn't like about Ubisoft themselves. This is why I'm barely on Twitter. And when I do, it's because I enjoy the banter. I don't get involved. I think it's funny when people crash out to each other. But yeah, see you guys later. I hope you guys have a nice night. And that's all for tonight. I hope you guys liked the Grinds My Gears video. Hopefully you guys got my perspective. And I want to hear it in the comments. I want to hear what you guys think. Now, of course, be respectful, but have your own opinion. Do you like the game? Do you hate the game? Talk about it. I'm not one of those YouTubers that will block you because of your beliefs. But if you are being problematic, like being like hostile, I will though. So be careful. Don't threaten people, but talk about it, you know? I invite all people to say what they have to say. Heck, Synthetic Magnet, if you're watching, come on in. Talk crap. I can take it. I talk crap with my friends all my life. Actually, most of the time, if we're not talking crap to each other, we don't like each other. That's how my friend group is. But yeah, enjoy, guys. Have a nice night. This one's a more like simpler one. More of my thoughts. Not really comedy. More like stuff I had to get off my chest about both parties and Ubisoft, because Ubisoft is the main problem. I'm not really the most angry at fans or haters or whatever. I'm mostly angry at Ubisoft because they can do better. And actually, they're getting bought off by Tencent because they haven't done better. So, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.